Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Everyone got the white and blue memo.
Yes.
We'll share with you.
Okay.
We were all discussing before this, like, this is the morning where you're like, God, should have gone to bed earlier.
Yeah.
Should have drank more water. Done talking. So I'm super excited to have this panel of women up here. We are all new friends, which is back to the earlier discussion, what's the best part of Cannes, all the new friends. And this female moment that I feel like, this is my 10th Cannes. I know, that's crazy, right? But I feel like this year is like so girly and there's so many great women here. And so it's super exciting that Brand Innovators is doing this. And we're such a small group this morning that we weren't going to take questions, but I feel like we should. So if you have questions for this panel, jump in. Okay, so I'm going to have each of the girls on this panel introduce themselves, but in a way that's like not their LinkedIn bio, because you can get that somewhere else. But I want to hear from you, like, why are you in this business? We're just in general, like, why are you in this business? Like, why does this light you up? I hope you love marketing or sales or whatever you're doing. And how do you matter to your team? Okay? I'm going to start with Val, and then we'll go down the line. And just tell everybody, since I don't think we're in order, what your name is before you announce.
All right, no pressure. I'm Val Kaplan. Great to be here. I am in this business because I like to say it's high impact, low stakes. I think through storytelling, you can change minds, you can change the world, but it's not brain surgery. Nobody's going to die on the table. So very motivated by that. And to my team, I talk a lot about warm candor and what that means. And I think radical candor is the type of truth and honesty that can put people on their back foot, but really preach sort of warm candor, which is leaning into the hard truths, to the honest conversations, to the pushback, but doing it in a way that's just steeped in kindness and dignity and respect, and try to embody that myself every day, push my team to embrace that every day, and preach it left and right. So you'll hear about that at Pluto.
I love that. That's so nice. Lesley Klein. I am the SVP of Strategy and Brand Marketing at Priceline. I am a marketer because I just find human beings very interesting, and I've just kind of always been fascinated by what drives people kind of under the radar, what they're not necessarily telling you, and how they make decisions, and how they feel good and not good, and kind of how to resonate with them. My fun bit of trivia is that I did a lot of figure studies, drawing in college, and so I spent a lot of time just like looking at people, and I think it created this interest in understanding people, and that's what a great marketer should do. I don't know what my
What do you mean to your team? What would they say about you? I knew you forgot what the second part was. I can see on your face.
I think I try to give them space to share and show their thoughts and ideas and their creations. I think a good manager opens up that door to let your team be seen, and I don't, if they look good, I look good. I don't need to take all of that from them, and I think they see that.
Hey everyone, I'm Kelly Mahoney. I'm with Ulta Beauty, so I lead our customer and growth marketing organization, which, if you don't know what that is, because no one does, it's really all about the consumer. So I have insights and analytics in our loyalty program, so we're all about driving growth, driving long-term loyalty. That's what our team does. So why am I a marketer? I actually wasn't. So I wasn't a marketer for a good 12 years of my career, and then I found myself, I was in finance, and I found myself going, I don't want to be a chief financial officer someday. Looking up, that's not where I saw myself, and I thought, no, you know what, I'm very analytical, but where can I go where I could drive growth through love, like through creating love, through cultivating love, and ultimately I just found my niche in this space of marketing, which is all around data and analytics and being able to drive growth. So it's exciting. I love it. I feel like I found that sort of perfect balance of my two brains. And then from my team's perspective, I think what I agree with you. I think I like to just open the door and let people walk through it. I'm empowering. I tend to hire great people so I can just get out of the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, thank you to Brand Innovators for having me. I'm just honored to be amongst all these accomplished leaders up here. My name is Scheiner, and I'm the EVP of Agency Partnerships and Ad Sales at NBCUniversal. I will tell you that when I was young, I was extraordinarily shy. You would normally find me hiding behind my mother's legs at any social event. So I often think today, like, how did I actually get into a career in sales? And I credit it with a very early job I had as a teenager that helped me to build my confidence. I worked at Feeney's Bonanza in Paramus, New Jersey. And you know Feeney's? Okay. And my job was to upgrade people from the Queen T-bone steak to the King T-bone steak. And for every sale I made, I got 10 cents. So I was hooked on sales immediately. So in success, they promoted me to the coveted cashier role, where I really understood the connection between sales and finance. But what I also learned from a manager was how to actually help people improve where they needed to improve, but also focus on their strengths. And in a restaurant environment, you have to really work on collaboration and teamwork. So I also learned you need to make quick decisions, quick informed decisions, and the idea about inclusivity as well as collaboration and empathy in a management style. Besides the fact that I know how to make a wicked homemade whipped cream.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, it's good.
So switching, I love all these stories. I could go all day with like, tell me more about the T-bone steak upgrade. How did that work? I also was a waitress, and I could tell you everything I learned about media. I learned at Hooters. You heard it here first. I was a Hooters waitress. So there's 2 of us that are in sales, 3 of us that are brand marketers. And I think that as the 5 of us, we all have a lens on culture and trends, and we're deeply curious about culture and trends, because I think if you care enough about what consumers care about, it informs the best gut feeling around marketing and around how you position your solutions to marketers. At SiriusXM, and I've been at Pandora and SiriusXM now 18 and a half years, so I've been in audio almost 19 years. But we launched a program called Fluency, which is our sort of in-house culture experts, and we dropped a report this week, which is our cultural trends report. And I just wanted to like lay out 4 of the trends, because I think it might be interesting to kind of get you guys to react from your vantage points. So Substream is our trend number 1, which is really just about the opportunity to hyper-personalize for today's communities, and just how much content is changing and how much growth is happening in and around new content and new platforms where people feel like they can be themselves and connect with people that share their likes and interests. Femissance, which I love that we're here in this moment right now, but like it's all about women right now. Like I said, that I really feel it. I mean, look at what happened with Barbie, and look at what's happening with so much of the consumer growth in this country being driven by women decision makers, women influence, and I just think it's a really special time that we get to be a part of. Hyper reality, everyone's talking about tech and AI, but I really believe that customers want to connect with realness and humanness, and they want it more than ever before. And fandomonium, and that's just the idea that fandom power. I mean, there's so many. How many creators are here? Are you guys blown away by? I mean, from Peloton instructors to Alex Earle and her insane body. Like, I want to be 22 again. I don't think I had that body at 22, but she's so cute. And I think that just the way they're connecting, whether it's a podcaster or an influencer, we were talking about influencers actually yesterday at a lunch. I see you there. So those are just some of the top line trends. So I'm just going to start with you, Anne. Sure. On the sales side, you were mentioning sort of how you are reshaping how NBCU goes to market, just specific to all of the audiences that NBC reaches. And talk about fandom. I mean, the Olympics are coming up in sports, and it's a news year, and it's a little election year, and it just must be a big effort to make sure you represent your audiences appropriately.
Absolutely. So if anybody has been by our space at List Studio, you'll see that what we're talking about while we're here is live events. And fandom is really what is driving, I think, the excitement around live events. And that can be sports, it can be news, or it can be entertainment. So anything from Sunday Night Football to Bravo, I mean, we're seeing that live events are really creating that urgency, that connection and that community that is really important to our consumers and our clients' consumers. You'll see a lot of different events on our schedule over the course of the next year. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade last year was the most watched parade in all of its history. So even those...
Why?
Well, there's a few reasons. One, there's more ways to watch it. So you can watch it both on the linear channels, as well as our streaming channel on Peacock. There's the social. There's so many different ways to connect with the parade and then connect with each other about the parade. So we're excited about that. We're also seeing a lot of great results and metrics from live events. We've seen that live events has delivered 28% more memorability. It's delivered 23% more purchase intent, 112% more social engagement, and 10% more recommendations. So it's delivering the results as much as the content. And then the other trend that we're seeing is with Gen AI. We've been talking a lot about it, obviously, over the last week. But we just launched this week accelerated one platform audience data, and that's helping us make live programming on CTV more informative for our clients. So if you're an automaker, for example, you're able to find out how many people are looking at your model of car and how many times they went to the dealership. So we're getting smarter, and we're getting smarter faster. And that's something that we haven't been able to do in short of 2 months' time. Now we can do it in 2 days.
So Kelly, like doubling down on sort of what Anne's talking about, you have an insane rewards program. If you are not an Ulta Rewards customer, you are asleep at the wheel. How have you sort of brought in this new consumer and some of these trends? Because you just relaunched the program, yes?
We did. Yes, in January. We just relaunched it. It used to be called Ultimate Rewards, and now we're called Ulta Beauty Rewards. And we refreshed the branding. We refreshed the way in which we're speaking about it. We also, time when I think a lot of retailers are pulling back value, we were able to give more, which we're really, really proud of, and specifically through the lens of the birthday. The birthday experience is just so important to our guests. It's funny, I know it only happens once a year, but when you ask our consumers, they say that's the most special moment for them, so we wanted to make sure that was truly a special moment for them, so increasing how much we're able to offer them in terms of choice was something we were really proud of. But we have over 43 million members, active members in our loyalty program, and this is always my mic drop moment. over 95% of all of our sales come from our members. So talk about data. Like, we have so much data. We know what's going on in our stores, online, and when we pair that with data that our providers can give us, then we're really starting to understand context and the why behind their decisions to shop at Ulta Beauty. And that makes it, just a really powerful advantage.
So you should be sending us a newsletter on all the beauty stuff to buy, because you know what's cool before we know what's cool. Right? Like, that should be a takeaway from today. Okay. Yeah. So Priceline.
Yeah.
We were talking about AI. You were explaining to me a little bit about the new travel consumer and so many changing trends in travel.
Yeah.
Share.
Okay, well, I'll start with the trends.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of work to understand, sounds kind of like trite to say, but like the younger Gen Z traveler. And to a lot of things that you said, a lot of things are different. The way that people think about, plan, book their travel experiences is just wildly different now. And I would say where, we used to see like the wind is making my eyes tear, but like 90% of travel planning would start in the search environment. Now that all is happening in social. And I think we experienced that.
And in Google Docs.
Well, that's something that we have to understand and we have to solve. That it does feel complicated. And that's why we have Penny, our Priceline travel assistant, who is a Gen AI travel assistant. And another thing that we've heard from Gen Zs is that they don't want to spend a lot of time and complexity planning and booking. They're conducting their searches in visual and video formats. They want to engage, but they don't want to talk to a human being. And what we found is that Penny actually will save you about 10 minutes versus calling someone on the phone. And it's amazing. So that's all Gen AI based. It's built on our travel platform. It's built on our billions of data points and all of the customer data that we have. And then the other piece I think that's important for you is that the new ratings and reviews are still important, but really for Gen Zs, it's all about trusted voices. And that is the new ratings and reviews, right? So it's influencers, micro-influencers in social environments, but also in audio formats like podcasts. And we are seeing that just the sources of trust are totally different.
Yeah,
And I have many more that I can share.
And you're figuring out a way to scale the sources of trust, because that's, I feel like, a big challenge. I made the Google Doc joke because I think we can all relate to that. It's like, you're going to go somewhere and you're definitely not getting on TripAdvisor. I hope no one is in the room from there, but it's not.
You're all going to get on Priceline.
You're going to get on. You're going to talk to Penny.
Getting to your happy place for your happy price, and we are now kind of galvanizing all of these creators to go to their happy places with Priceline. We're calling it the Happy Place Chase. But the idea is really that when we find things that people care about, this goes back to like, what do people care about? What moves them? When we find things that people care about that intersect their passion points and make those moments a travel moment, whether it's sports or fashion or music or whatnot, that people will actually stop and pay attention to a brand that they may not have paid attention to in a long time. Okay.
So Val, you're crushing it in free ad-supported streaming, Pluto TV. What has the consumer behavior change been like for you? And how does it inform content? Because you have a bit of a different strategy to your competitors in the streaming space, specific to what content you put out.
So for those who aren't familiar, FAST is the category that Pluto created about 10 years ago now. It stands for Free Ad-Supported Streaming Television. And so at Pluto, not only do we have thousands of titles, movies, and shows available on demand, but we actually also have hundreds of curated channels that we have a team of human programmers who leverage machine learning and data to inform that programming, but do it with the eye of deep fandom as they program those channels. So, talk about fandoms and feeding fandoms is a core brand pillar for us at Pluto TV. Most of our content is not live. Most of our content is not new. It's not exclusive. But what it is it is very beloved by our audience. And we have a lot of the best content from Paramount Global on our program. We also have a lot of the shows and the movies that already have such love and such following. And so through our expert human curation, we bring those things together and bring them to life in a way that it's not just about the content. And it's not just about what you want to watch, but how you want to watch it. So if you're a fan of CSI, we have a CSI channel that's running 24/7. We also have a CSI New York channel that's running 24/7 with so much strategy going behind exactly which episode shows when. So it's more of a dialogue between our audience and our programmers and our platform. And it's really about, how do we not just deliver the best content, but deliver it in a way that resonates with the biggest fans out there.
So how important is personalization to each of your roadmaps? We're a little different on the sales side, but I think in terms of personalized addressability, maybe it's not one-to-one, but it's, again, trying to find these ways in which communities feel at home within your brands. So I'll start with Kelly, and then I don't have to call on each of you. You can kind of double down on each other or contradict each other. Pandora was like the OG in personalization, and in today's changing data environment and privacy environment, I think so much of that is restricting some of how we used to do things. But at the end of the day, again, the customer really feels like you need to understand them in a deep way. And I think it's very challenging for all of us. I think it's one of the hardest things to do is get it right with your data and make sure that you're telling the story you want at the right time, that you're recommending the show, that you're giving the right result for the trip, that you're helping a client find their audience within NBC. So I'll stop, jump in and let me know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think McKinsey published a study about, they say 71% of consumers expect that you're going to personalize the experience, but 76% are upset when you don't. It's interesting. So in our case, we have 43 million members, and all of that first-party data, we really have a responsibility, actually, to personalize the experience so that we are creating those kind of expectations. This isn't even about wow moments anymore. This is hey. The other thing about Ulta Beauty is we have over 500 brands, and we span across every category of beauty. So discovery and exploration is such an important part of the experience of shopping for beauty that it's critical if we want to stay in business and be relevant to be able to have personalization, recommendations at the right time, in the right channels, across the right platforms. And then I just would say relevance is so important. You know, the name of the game used to be for us, and here in Canada, I still have to say Ulta Beauty. It's the U.S.-based retailer, but in the U.S., I mean, our unaided awareness is so high for us. It's about relevance, and the only way to really maximize relevance is through personalization. So it's really important to us, and data is kind of the key, and we're so fortunate to have built the data strategy that we have, and we're leveraging it every day through the power of all of that data we're getting and the signals we're seeing.
I'd add to that too. It's about personalization, but it's also about community, and you can really only have both when you get it right. When it feels like the recommendations are not just relevant, but a part of something larger.
Yeah, I would echo everything that you just said. I think we probably sit in a similar situation. In travel, personalization is everything. It's totally the cost of entry. It's the expectation. The trick is to not put people into certain boxes, and this is what my team and I talk about all the time. Right now, I'm a business traveler. Last week, I was a family traveler. This weekend, I'm meeting my husband somewhere, and my parameters for how I want to travel and also my value equation is totally different every time. So we have to resist the temptation to hyper-personalize in a way that segments people too narrowly and doesn't see the entirety of who people are. So that's one thing. And then delivering the relevant content in those moments, using our data to make sure we understand in what capacity you're traveling and what your expectations are so that we can deliver relevant opportunities to you. We're in a similar situation where most people know Priceline. We actually created our category. We've been around for 25 years. We have an amazing legacy. But what we're really pushing on is how do we make people feel like we're a brand for them? So we talk about brand for me all the time. Does someone feel like it's a brand for me? And I think the personalization and relevance are the two things that really deliver that.
Yeah, I would just say from the publisher side, we talk a lot about, because of our breadth and depth, we reach 273 million adults every single month because of all of our content and the way we distribute it now across linear and digital social. We actually, and add that data to that, we actually have the ability to make a person's viewing experience as curated as their social feed. So that personalization actually comes to life across all of NBCUniversal as well. I mean, our number one goal is to create more effective advertising for our clients. And we're excited because we think that with streaming, television has really become this full funnel performance vehicle. And we have the ability now to not bifurcate linear and digital media, but you can, take advantage of that fast reach of linear and that precision of digital all in one single plan. And we can do that now with a tool that we developed called Opta, which is one platform, total audience. You might have another question for me about that, so I don't want to overshoot here. But, so what we're doing to help with that personalization is one platform, total audience, really focuses on that strategic audience and delivers the business outcomes based on a client's objectives. And we've seen tremendous results. Earlier this year, we did a beta with 6 different clients in key categories, and it generated, on average, 43% more reach, 28% more, it's 20, I want to just get this right, 28% better efficiency, 25% more social engagement, and I think this is the most impressive. For one advertiser, it delivered 43% additional return on an ad spend. So we're really excited about the potential for Opta. We've also developed a complementary measurement tool called Optum, which is one I know we need your marketing expertise.
They're good
guys.
acronyms.
Yeah, we need your marketing help here. But one platform, total measurement. So we're working with different experts in measurement across the funnel. So for brand awareness, we may be working with Video Amp or Donata. For search or consideration, we're working with EDO. For performance, Coachava. So the whole goal here is that we can more effectively and efficiently reach that strategic audience and then quickly measure it so that we can optimize in real time.
Yeah, because if we get it wrong, the marketers don't see anything that they're looking
That's
for
right.
in terms of the initial strategy. So switching gears a little bit, because I know how much time we have left. At SiriusXM Media, we have something called Pass the Mic. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. It's a long-standing podcast that we do where we just feature female voices, and we feature female leaders in a podcast format, going deep, talking about their struggles in being everything from working moms to the only girl at the boardroom table to tips and tricks and essentially how they can lend their hand to the next girl coming up. So we've done over 200 audio interviews. If you haven't listened, they're incredible. But I want to ask this team, not maybe what's your one piece of advice, but what do you think's the one skill? What is the skill that's taking you furthest? This is a really fun gig that we all have, but it is hard some days. And I think maybe it's the upsell and the T-bone steak. Maybe you're going to go back to that. But it's just what's the one skill that you think has taken you furthest?
Yeah, I can kick us off. I think it's my willingness to bet on myself. And it's a combination of taking risks, but taking risks that feel very authentic and true to me. And whether that's in my career and career choices that I've made, which have included, twice in my career, I have left objectively good jobs to sort of take a step back and find something that better aligns with my passion and what I want to do. And those have both turned out to be sort of a one step back, three step forward scenario for me, but also taking risks in my job. And I think often as women, we are programmed to want to play it safe and not stick our neck out there. And 9 times out of 10, when I do, that's often when the most growth for the business and for my career have come to fruition.
Love that.
Literally no idea.
You have no skills?
I guess I have a lot of skills. What's one thing that has taken me to where I am? Is that the question?
Yeah, I just feel days get tough, and there's always this one part of your personality or this one thing that maybe your mom and dad see in you or your best friend that you're yeah, that's my thing. That's kind of my superpower. That's what gets me through. That's that thing in the back of your head.
So I guess what I would say, two different things. I would say that when I think about my superpower, it's to see the whole landscape, see the forest, understand the trees, and then tell a story about that in a way that galvanizes people towards the thing that we're trying to do. And I do think that I have a way to motivate people, even if they aren't necessarily in my direct line or whatnot, towards a vision and to actually get that thing done. That is how I kind of contextualize my superpower. When we talk about being women and trying to do all this stuff, I tend to be kind of I try to think about the ocean of the waves and just trying to stay steady as the storms get bigger and smaller, and just know that time moves in one direction. So if you are, don't ask a physicist about that because apparently that's not actually true. But
and all of our faces can go in reverse time. I just want to be clear about that.
Everything that feels dramatic in the moment is not. And you can just keep taking one step forward. Always forward, always forward. And that's actually kind of my internal philosophy. And so, we encounter all the different kinds of things in our careers. And sometimes these are great. And sometimes you're oh my God, I have 2 kids and a big job, and it's a house of cards, and my, babysitter didn't show up today. Just keep putting one step in front of the other, and we will all be okay.
Kelly?
All right, so I think what gets me through the hardest days, and maybe I learned this kind of midway through my career, is when I walk through the doors, I really do, and I really do think about what I'm here to serve. And I know it sounds cringy maybe, but when I flipped my attitude and my mindset around what's in it for that person and not what's in it for me, it just felt like I grew more. I was getting more done, and I was able to influence, and I guess it's egoless leadership. I don't know. It's tough, but give it a try. I think it works.
Yeah. First of all,
And close us out.
all right.
strong.
First of all, you reminded me of something. My daughter likes to put up little quotes and sayings, and the last one she put up was, "Maybe this just doesn't have to be that hard." So yeah, I look at it every once in a while. I'm like, that's so right. But I would say a learned skill, which I developed after some advice, is ask questions, listen, and don't be scared to speak up. When I was first promoted and I was in a big room with a lot of people who had a lot more experience than me, I didn't want to say anything for fear that I would say the wrong thing. And a friend and colleague said to me, you need to start making decisions now and creating and innovating because you're shaping our industry and our organization's future. You're part of that team now. That takes perseverance, it takes grit, it takes discussion, most importantly, and disagreement. But the way to move forward is to keep talking, and it takes practice. And the more you practice, the more you get better at it.
Yeah, I love that. Such good advice, right? Okay, we'll close this out with the thing it can. I was going to say the thing it can you don't understand at all, because I think that we sit up here and we're like, oh, y'all know everything. And then there's the one thing they're like, I don't even know what that is. But I'm not going to do that. It's too early in the morning. So I know, right? They're like, I don't even know what the answer would be to that, so let's skip it. No, what's your greatest takeaway from this week so far? I mean, we've talked about Friends and the network that's here on the earlier fireside, and that sticks with me. Like, it is my most favorite part about coming to these shows. And you're packing, and I'm like, I've been to like 5 different conferences in the last 2 months. I feel like I'm not really ever catching my breath. I have 3 boys at home. Well, kind of at home. They're all leaving the nest now. And it feels overwhelming. But then I get here and I'm like, oh, my people. And I get so re-energized, and I get a little bit of like jealousy about what everyone else is doing. And it pushes me. And there's like this osmosis vibe that comes out of Cannes where you're not really writing it down, but you're like taking it in. And then it comes up later that you want to copy somebody's strategy, and it maybe is something that you're going to iterate on. So that's Cannes for me. It just re-energizes me. But what is this for you, other than a great place now for us to buy dresses and 100% overspend on them and rationalize all of it?
I'll help you rationalize any purchases. I really agree with what you said. I have been coming here for a very long time, but I still find that this is the best place to get inspiration. I have to admit that for many years I didn't even like get into the Palais, and yesterday I spent several hours just like listening and walking around and absorbing. But this really is still, of all the conferences that really become a lot of chit-chatting, which is also important, I'm going to get to that, this is really the one where you can kind of step outside of your day-to-day and be super inspired by the power of creativity and technology and insights and all of those things coming together. And be inspired by other brands. So for me, that's kind of my number one. But the second is what you said, which is, and this is what I would say to anybody, like, this is the opportunity to build your network, work your network. And for me, I take this back and I've like refreshed all the connections and relationships that I have, so that throughout the course of the year, as I like can't figure something out, or need a partner that's going to do such and such a thing, or I know that there's something out there but I'm not sure what it is, I know all the people that I can call. And that's how you get things done quickly in this industry, is just by kind of like hustling, figuring it out through all the relationships that you've built. So like, that's the best thing for you to do here. It's just like rack them up.
Kelly agrees.
I do agree. I mean, this is my second Cannes, so Ulta made their debut last year. Second year feels so much better than the first year. I mean, it was so awesome the first year, but I was just like standing watching everything happen around me. And this year I feel so much more in control, and it is amazing how fast your network will grow and how people remember you from last year and seek you out. It's such a great feeling. Like, it really does feel like community, and that's hard to do in such a big place like Cannes. And then the thing that I'm most grappling with right now is, how in the world do you have 3 boys that are going off to college? This is not.
I know I have a 20-year-old.
This is impossible.
We'll talk about that later. I'll tell you all that later.
Yeah, sure. So I think mostly I'm just inspired by all the discussion. I did go to the Palais yesterday as well, and I sat for a little while, and just things that I've heard, like psychological safety and the curiosity that everybody has. It makes you start thinking about things a little bit differently, and just meeting new people. I think, you come to Cannes and you see a lot of the people that you may see back in New York, but I've had an opportunity to meet so many new connections here and meet so many new people that I know will continue the conversations after we leave Cannes as well.
You're making me want to answer your first question differently, which is why we do what we do. And I think this place is a reminder of two things. And it's one, that we are a part of such a collaborative community, which I think is kind of unique. You know, I think in some ways we could be competing against each other for jobs, but you don't feel that at all. It actually feels like you're problem solving together in every discussion that you have here. So it's a great reminder of that. And then also a reminder of just how continuously evolving and innovative our space is. And that's, you know, there's never a dull moment, right? You could be in the same job for 10 years, but it would feel new and different every single year. And whether it's, you know, because of technological innovation or different marketing strategies, as our consumers change, we have to change. And I think that's a lot of where the collaborative spirit comes from, because we're all leaning in and figuring out how to solve that together.
So we'll end there. I don't know if we have any questions, but you know, my takeaway is like, make 10 new friends, go somewhere you didn't plan. The Palais is so under visited, I feel like, by many of us, because we get so busy with meetings, but the work is there and it's incredible. We actually won a Lion last night at SiriusXM, so we're super excited about that for our Closer campaign, if anybody saw that. I'm so lucky to have had the last 45 minutes with 4 new friends, which is the greatest gift of doing this work. And I'm just really grateful that we're all here in this moment, in this time. So reach out to other women if you're stuck. That is my final takeaway. Like, any of us are willing to pick up the phone and tell you how we screwed up the thing, that then we figured out how to not screw up the thing, and then we'll tell you how to never screw up the thing. Okay? Thank you, Anne, Kelly, Lesley, Val. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Hold it together, girls. 2 more days.